What's up, you guys? It's Andrew Castro. We are back here at Huntington Beach Disc Golf Course for the back nine of the 2025 Surf City Open presented by West Coast Disc Golf. This is the back nine of the lead card for the final round. Here are the updated standings after their front nine. We have Kyle still holding it down in first place, shooting a 3 down on the front. We have Gavin right there, shooting a 3 down as well, jumping up. Diego and Steve Key now tied, and we have Cam Rico dropping to the back of the card after coming out of the front even. All right, so hole 10, roughly around 310 feet. There is some OB out there over on the road, but there are two lines you see here. You do see a big hyzer out over off to the gap on the right hand side, but you do tend to see when it's in this position, this backhand hyzer flip flex line to get up on the green. Can be a little sketchy, like I said, with that OB on the left. So let's see how these guys manage it here on hole 10 to get things started off for the back nine. Gavin's going to start us off here, hitting that gap, but it looks a little low. I don't know if that got slapped down by the wind or it just didn't have enough, but he digs right into the sidewalk, just a little bit short from where he wants to be. Diego second on the box. This looks juiced. Great looking shot here. That just flipped up, had some nice turn, and he's parked. That's such a great shot right there to put yourself on the green. Diego likes it. Let's go. Steve Key giving it a rip here, but that also looks like maybe just a little bit low. Gets caught up by the grass and digs up short. Definitely want to get up there a little closer to give yourself a bid, otherwise you're just maybe just pitching up at that point. Here's Kyle. That's a little inside. He's trying to call for it to get right, and it just catches those branches and stays inbounds. If that didn't hit anything, that was going out into the street and getting him an OB stroke for sure. Cam Rico getting a nice shot here. That looks good. Skips up, catches this little bush. I think he's going to be behind that bush, which is kind of a bummer. We did plant these bushes. Shout out to Jim Rule from El Dorado, but we planted these bushes for when we do play this position. It kind of keeps stuff from going out in the street, but it can also really mess with you if it's hindering your putting stroke. Kyle's just going to pitch up here to save par. Here's Steve looking to make a run. It looks like a little half bid, so puts him there to get his par. Gavin's looking to make this and just short and low, but hit the pole, so he's on target. Just needs to find that stroke. Cam just oof. So see, here's that bush doing what it does. Cam does not like it. The thing just swatted his putt out of the sky. Diego getting that birdie. This is a great one to get in this position because, like I said, it's a little tricky depending on the line you're taking. I feel like, you know, if you got the power, you're cheesing this hole by just throwing the big spike hyzer and hoping to land up here. But yeah, Diego getting this with that beautiful looking backhand. That form. Let's go, Diego. All right, after hole 10, Diego with the lone birdie. Everyone else parring out, which gives us a 3 down for Kyle, 2 down for Diego, 3 down for Gavin, 2 down for Steve, and Cam sitting at even. Going into hole 11 here, this is roughly around 348, 350 feet. You got OB on the left here where this horse path is. And this is one of my favorite holes to play at Huntington Beach Disc Golf in the deep position. So there is a hyzery line that takes you through those trees on the right and just kind of brings you in here. You also see this like flex line that a lot of people will throw, like flex around the trees and then kind of fade back in and push you up on the green here. You just want to stay away from the left, but you know, sometimes you get a tree kick and that's where it sends you. Diego to start us off on the box after that birdie with a beautiful drive. Diego's coming in here. This looks good. He clears it. Ooh, there he is. Boom. Let's go. Looks like he caught some of those little tree branches and they kicked him right towards the basket. Great shot. Good luck. Gavin, just something there. Looks like doesn't like that stupid rock on the tee pad. Seemed to have caused some issues there. Steve Key has a great looking shot leaking over, and it looks like it hit a tree and just got that kick that I was talking about, where it just kicks and sends you out of bounds. That can happen on this hole on a great looking shot as well. Speaking of great looking shots, here is Kyle lacing one up, getting on the green behind that tree. I think both he and Diego are in that same area, so they're just parked pretty much. Cam has a good looking drive as well. It looks like that gets in the tunnel and gets knocked down, but he should have somewhere around circle's edge. Gavin just walking out there to get to this and assess the shot, but it looks like he's going to just pitch up with a nice little forehand, stay away from the OB. Yep, let's just save par and get off this hole. Cam is outside the circle, but has a bid here. There is that little bunch of low-hanging branches. He has to kind of hit a gap for it, and it just gets knocked down or drops and stays right there on the green for him to just have that par save. Steve looking to maybe save par after going OB off the tee. Nope. He's just seems to be having an off day on the putting green. He normally is making those types of putts, but just not today. Kyle hitting the putt for birdie after a great looking drive, and here's Diego as well with a great looking drive. There we go. And this is just one of my favorite holes to play because of the shot off the tee. You know, you have different ways you can get there, backhand, forehand, and it just looks nice too. So everyone tapping out here, Steve tapping out for the bogey, Cam taking his par, and, you know, everyone's just walking off here. But we got Kyle and Diego walking off with the birdies, Gavin and Cam hitting pars to get out of there, and Steve Key with the unfortunate kick off the drive that sent him OB. It happens. Hole 11 will do that, especially with the OB fence being so close to the fairway. Moving on to hole 12, which is right around 312. I feel like this is roughly like 330. Plays slightly uphill, but nothing too crazy. But most people are just going with the big hyzer line here. You're going to hyzer to the right of these trees. You're going to get out there. And onto this green. There is OB over, again, that horse trail fence comes into play, but not unless you throw a really bad shot. Diego has a very good looking shot here. Backhand hyzer. Boom. Right there, circle's edge, just inside the circle, looking at the basket. Kyle going with the same shot. He doesn't like it. Hands on his head. That could be, like, so that's going right where it could go OB. You can see that skip, but it just lays down. He is, like, just at the edge of the circle, but that's flirting with the OB right there for sure. Gavin throwing a hyzer as well, but same thing, like that could have gone OB if that just pushed a little bit more or was higher and had the time to get over there. Looks like he gets down right there on circle's edge. Cam Rico just throwing a great looking textbook shot, parking this thing, making it look easy. Great shot from Cam. Steve Key here, gonna try to do the same. This looks really good as well too.
In the basket.
Ooh, pink. Look at that. Parked. Great looking shot. Just tap that in for birdie, sir. Boom. See, that's the Gavin I know right there. Let's go, buddy. See, that guy hits putts. And he's an aggressive putter, I've noticed. Like, when he putts at that basket, it is right at the basket. Kyle trying to convert on that. He ends up just picking that putter up and walking away with the tap out par. He wanted that, though. And Diego with the circle's edge putt there. That is a great looking putt. Diego, the same thing. Great putter. Very aggressive style putting right at the basket. There is really no half goes when both Gavin and Diego try to go for it. They're just, it's right at the basket. Cam, great drive, so making this putt easy. Steve, even easier here. He's just going to tap out. Well, let's watch Gavin here. Boom. Love to see that. See the passion, see the excitement. Gavin showing us what's up. Everyone getting that birdie except for Kyle with the par. So starting to get a little bit closer in terms of the round score, but Kyle's just maintaining that lead for first place. Hole 13 here. 315 feet, I feel like 320-ish, but just going straight out. You got OB on the left with that horse trail fence. Then you come down this little hill into this gap onto this green where there's OB behind the basket and a hard pan dirt. So that green is really fast. If you run this and slide, you can slide out of bounds very easily. Same thing if you get a really aggressive drive, you can skip OB long. This looks really good from Diego. He likes it. That is really good, but can also be in danger of skipping OB long. So just FYI. Gavin, the same here. Looks really, really good. And Cam getting ready to rip one out here. Boom. This looks really good. Trickling down towards the green. And skipping up, I think he's like just outside the circle here, but has a look, kind of a scary putt to run, but whatever, if that's the look you got. Steve Key getting his shot out. That's a great shot. And Kyle giving us a good looking shot. This flipped up and is just sailing, goes over the catch cam. Wow. Hey, where'd that go, buddy? Here's Kyle. Looks like it just stayed up in there. There is some like branches and logs that have fallen down, so they can catch you if you look like you're going long over there. So really fortunate for Kyle. Kyle's gonna look to kind of just pitch up here. And Kyle giving it a half go there, almost going in off the tree. Ridiculous. And here is Gavin looking to give this a bid. Oof. See, that can be sketchy because if you go deep, that hard pan just slides you right out of bounds. So, scary bid there. And here's Cam, circle's edge, or outside the circle. You can see the line there. Boom. What a putt. Back-to-back birdies. Let's go, Cam. Steve inside the circle. Has a good look here. Oh. And see this, it's such a scary putt because of where the basket is. See, you could get a better angle here. It looks like Diego did skip out of bounds. So he's going to take his relief, putt back for par. But you could see why it's so scary on this putt or this approach for this position because of that hard pan. You could just hit this on a missed putt or bounce off the basket and roll OB, and you're going from a birdie look to then, you know, a bogey or even worse, double bogey if you get behind that bush. So, you know, sometimes if you're just out of position and you're not feeling comfortable with your putting, laying up here is just the right choice. But, you know, I feel like you know what to do when you get here if you've played this hole. So everyone getting their pars and walking away. And Cam showing us how it's done here to get the birdie. What a great shot. Good looking stuff. And after hole 13, Cameron with the lone birdie, everyone else parring out. We have updated scores: Kyle at 4 down, Diego at 4 down, Gavin at 4 down, Steve Key at 2, and Cam Rico at 2. Diego just cooling off after that turkey, but that's all right. Shooting well to start the back. Here we go, hole 14, roughly around 321 feet, going up this little hill, down over under this tree, and you'll find the basket here. There's these bushes that kind of guard that, and behind those bushes is an OB line. So you leak out over there to the left, you can go OB, costing you strokes and sometimes dealing with, you know, the obstacle of those bushes by the putting green. So you got to kind of be careful with this and throw a nice, see, this is a nice looking shot by Cameron. Boom. And that's where it can get kind of tricky right there. So kind of by that bush, it can really start to pinch you off to where you're you know, having to have a little bit trickier of a putt than you want, but that's just part of it. Still a good looking shot, but you want to throw this kind of like really straight looking shot. Again, boom, here's another good one from Diego. Great looking shot. You want to go with something stable to understable, I feel like, whether you're going, you know, flat or like hyzer flip or flex line, like we're kind of starting to see right now from everyone. Gavin looks like he might have just gotten over on that. Yeah, he's throwing a leopard 3, so like I said, something, you know, straight to understable for you to just throw flat at this is kind of what you want, or you're flexing something kind of like what Cam Rico did. Here is Steve Key. Throwing you know, a nice stable, like straight to stable fairway to get him, you know, up on the green. So he's inside the circle there looking at a putt. That's not bad. That's where you want to be. And here's Kyle. Boom, another good shot. So we've seen those 3 good shots that I'll put them kind of in the same area up against that bush line. Can be a little tricky. Gavin trying to run this, and oof, you really wanted that. And that's like a crazy run, because if you go into those bushes, it can really set you back or go over. You're eating an OB stroke. Oof. Yeah. So Steve is normally making these. I don't know what's going on, if he's just having some putting woes this round or what, but he's had a lot of opportunities to score, and it looks like he's just not getting it done on the green. Cam right here, however, getting it done on the green, getting 3 in a row, getting that turkey. Here's Steve trying to get in this little bush area to save his par. There we go. Let's just get par and get out of here. Kyle in the bush as well to get his birdie. And we're going to have Diego doing the same. Let's get that birdie. And Gavin tapping out his par. Great stuff. Here's another slow-mo of Cameron. Back-to-back slow-mos of this kid. He looks like he's starting to warm up with his putting. Putting with Legacy discs. Fun fact, he is part of the Rico family that own Legacy. So after hole 14, we got 3 of the guys getting birds: Kyle, Diego, and Cam Rico. Gavin and Steve Key getting par on this hole. This is one, you know, in the open field, you do want to be getting the birdie on this. So hole 15, right there around 320 feet off the tee. You're going through this double mando that's right here, which can be kind of tricky because you got the ceiling, you got the double mando. It's a wide enough gap, so whatever. You're getting through there. This fairway does kind of slope up before bringing you back into the green, which has these guardian trees that kind of create a ceiling. So it's a tight gap in terms of getting in there and up on the green. You can approach this either backhand or forehand. You know, it requires a good shot either way with a lot of control off the tee to get you onto this green. Let's see how these guys manage this. We got Cam Rico starting us off first. What a nice looking shot. Getting a nice ground play and skipping up towards the basket. That's perfect. Everyone likes it. Cam likes it. The people watching like it. Let's go. We have Diego up next. This is a great looking shot as well from Diego. Skips up on the green off that hard pan right there. Trickles you down over towards the basket. Perfect. Kyle up next here. Looks like all these guys are going to go with the backhand shot. This looks good. Little high and catches the tree. Does not come down. Good thing we're not doing that Cali 2-meter rule, but yeah, that's up in that tree. Sometimes that happens on this. You know, you're trying to keep it up. Sometimes it comes out nose up and just keeps climbing. Steve with the nice looking shot here. Catches a branch that was on its way and drops him right there. He's looking at it though, you know what I mean? Like he's right there around circle's edge, but with the way he's been putting, maybe not exactly where he wants to be. Kyle is just going to chip up here, get the par. Smart golf, looking for the disc now. Here's Steve looking to convert, maybe get things going. And doesn't get it. It happens. Gavin getting ready to line this up. This is right there in his range, so oof. And that just looks like a little low, maybe slips out of his hand or something. I couldn't really tell, just something off. Here is Diego. Getting the birdie there. Great drive, great putt. That's exactly what you want. There's Gavin taking his par. Not particularly happy about it. Steve getting that one to go in, saving par. And Cam with CTP. 4 in a row on a really good stretch of the course. Let's go. Little slow-mo of Diego here after that great looking drive as well. Both these guys getting it done. Shredding the back so far. After 15, here we go. We have Diego and Cam getting the birds on that hole. Everyone else parring out. Look at Diego. 5 down on the back. Cam Rico 4 down on the back on a 4 birdie stretch. These guys are just shredding the back 9, and it's really the part of the course you do want to shred and catch up and, you know, make your move is the back 9 here at HB. Hole 16, we have it at 435 feet. Basically, just this is your chance to air one out here. You just send it on out here. You do have a Mando over off to the left. It doesn't really come in play, but if you really shank one, it can. It's just protecting the tee pad for 17, but 16, you're just getting out over here underneath this huge tree to get you to look at the basket. There is OB on that path over off to the left, so if you come in here and kind of skip out or fade out on your approaches or drives too fast, you can go OB. Cam Rico is going to get us started on this hole. And all these guys have the power to get there, so this is basically seeing who's gonna get it closer. Cam had a great looking shot, hits the tree, so pushes him back a little bit, but who knows where that would have gone, right? It could have gone deep and gone OB, so you don't know whether to say good tree or bad tree yet, but wants to be closer, that's for sure. Here is Diego. Just a ripping shot. This thing is just cruising. Gets up there. He's looking. He's about pin high, but he's out wide right with the OB now behind that basket. So good positioning. It's just kind of sketch if you really want to run this and you find yourself a little long. Kyle up next. Smooth. Look at this thing just cruising, smooth drive, skips on up. That's exactly what you want to see. You skip on under there just low enough to get under the tree, skip off the roots, pushing you towards the basket, just enough to have a nice confident putt without bringing the OB behind the basket into play. Perfect. Gavin with the rip, but it looks like maybe just the bad angle coming out, almost going OB. So there's the OB line on the path. He stays inbounds, still giving him a look, but just out of position. That is within his range, but we got to see if he's able to tap into that here. Steve Key with a great looking drive as well. It has the distance, but kind of like maybe where Diego is, just a little wide, pin high, but wide right. Oof. Gavin almost getting that with a nice little step putt. He really wants that. You can tell, like, you could see it in his body language that he's expecting to make those and highly disappointed when he doesn't. Cam almost getting that birdie, but it stays in, hits the cage, and just drops. That's best case scenario here, other than going in. Steve Key just looks like he wanted to give that a go, but it just got up and down really fast on him, so he's going to be right there for the tap out par. Here's Diego. Oof. Caught a root there that maybe kept him from going out of bounds, so that's the danger of that position that I was mentioning. Boom. Kyle just getting the birdie here, gaining a lot more confidence now and maybe sealing this win up. But yeah, so you can see where Diego landed here, right? So, you know, I feel like you want to either be like parked, obviously, or like short and in front of this basket, taking the OB to the left out. You know, if you miss this, you can go deep behind it by those two eucalyptus trees maybe. When you're wide right, like where you position yourself on the green really comes into play for this hole when that out of bounds gets added into play here. So, you know, everyone doing a great job of not blowing past it and going OB. And here is a little replay of Kyle getting the birdie. Team HB. After hole 16, Kyle with that lone birdie, everyone else parring out. So we got Kyle and Diego right now on their round, tied at 6 down, Gavin at 4 down, Steve Key at 2 down, and Cam Rico at 4 down. Starting to get towards the end here, hole 17, roughly about 350 feet. This is going straight out onto this fairway. There's this little cluster of pine trees over here where the basket is tucked in. There's that pathway off to the left that has a spray painted OB line. So the shot that people throw here, that big hyzer, really easy shot to do. But if you find yourself shanking that a little bit and leaking out to the left, it brings that OB into play. So let's see how these guys manage it. Kyle throwing a big hyzer that seems to flip up. And it doesn't look like it's coming back. This is just sauced way out there. He is deep. He is deep out there. Cam, just a nice solid rip here with something stable, so it's definitely coming back. Skips up. Boom, right there in that cluster of trees. Really good position. Maybe that putt is a little bit, you know, obscured by those pine trees, but at least you're on the dance floor. Diego with a solid rip here. That thing just flipped up nicely, but it looks to be still stable to where it's coming back. He's just outside the circle long, putting back at this basket. So really good drive there and a really good position. I like that as well, to go long and come back at that, especially for a right-handed putter. You're kind of taking that fade away, where you can fade out of bounds on your putt even. Gavin getting a nice shot. You can see the OB line right there coming into play. He's safe. It's not the path itself, it's the line on the path. So he was close, but still plenty safe. Steve Key looking to get a good rip on this one. Again, all these guys have the power to get up to this hole. It does play, it says it plays around 350, but it is slightly uphill, so I feel like it feels like it plays longer. So Kyle's just going to pitch up here, get par. At this point, I feel like Kyle knows where he's at, so he's just playing it safe, trying to keep his cushion to seal the deal. Steve Key here, just same thing. I feel like that was intentional. He's just trying to lay up and get par. Boom, Diego with the putt, not scared of it. That could still go OB if he whiffs that. So I thought he was a little bit more deep and, you know, but Cam Rico with the putt as well around those trees, making it look easy. Great putt. Here's Gavin. Boom. Nice putt, nice drive. Kyle's going to tap out. Steve Key tapped out. So we got 3 guys on the card that get birdie on this hole. Another slow-mo of Cam Rico. This whole back 9 I feel like is slow-mos of Cam Rico with that putt. This kid is too smooth. So we got 3 guys on the card getting birdies on that. Diego, Gavin, and Cam Rico, while Kyle and Steve take pars. But look at this card by Diego, bro. 6 down on the back. Cam Rico 5 down on the back. Just shredding this course, dude. Let's go, boys. Hole 18 to finish this off in the deep position. This has a double mando, okay? So it's already greasy with all these trees right here guarding the entrance to this. You get in this tunnel. This is around 438, 440 feet, but this is one of the harder holes on the course for sure. Obviously not because it's long and tech, but it's just everything comes into play here. Cam just looking solid with this shot, and boom, jaily tree there. And that's what happens here is, and it's just, those trees are just so rude. Diego going flex, and that's forehand flex, and that's the danger here. I like the forehand play here, but sometimes if you get on it, that Mando tree off to the left can come into play. He misses Mando there. Really unfortunate because he's having a fire round. Gavin just lacing one up the middle, but again, catching those trees, just stopping them in front. Here's Kyle with a great looking shot, flips up, catches one of the last trees in the back. In the first round, Kyle parked this hole. And then here's Steve throwing a roller. This is the other play, is the backhand roller shot, and just getting caught up. But in the first round, Kyle and Steve, I believe, both parked this hole with those shots, those same shots that they threw. So, yeah. Diego has a tight gap to approach onto this green to kind of save, put himself in position for a bogey save. So he hits that gap, gets up there, should be all right. Gavin trying to hit a gap a little low, so he is like circle's edge short, like up over there, but at least he skipped up off those roots. This is where Steve Key's roller landed, and he just hit that tree, which stopped him way earlier than he wants to be, but he's got this approach, just chucks one up there. Looking to finish this round and call it a day. Cam got stopped by this tree, so he has this kind of tricky approach. I don't know what they're pointing out, but maybe Cam was asking if there's OB up there or something, but Cam just nice little straddle jump putt out and around through the tunnel. Puts it up. Gavin with a nice putt to save par to close out his round. Steve, unfortunately, just cannot connect on the putting green today, so just sails that a little bit, past the basket. Or just Diego trying to save bogey. Oof. Man, that's unfortunate. So that's going to be right there, I think, for like a tap-in double bogey, which great round on the back from Diego, but capping it off with that double has to hurt. Bogey for Steve Key here. Just couldn't really connect on the green, but overall just really clean par golf. Yeah, Diego taking the double, which brings him down to, a 5 down. Yeah, and Diego taking the double, which hurts. Everyone else tapping out, and here we go. Kyle just showing these kids how it's done, tapping out on the last hole for par and securing the W. Congrats, Kyle Eckmann, your 2025 Surf City Open champion. No stranger to holding down the crown at this course. Here's Ryan with the really cool trophy. It's a little surfboard. These things are super rad to get, but there is Kyle with the trophy. He's stoked. A little bit of local pride here. Everyone knows Kyle and is really happy to see it, but all these guys right here, these are all really good upcoming golfers. Diego, really good. Gavin, really good. Cam Rico's always been solid. Really good group of young guys that are right there that we get to see, and Steve as well has the experience. Just couldn't put it together today. It's like that, but yeah, man, really, really, really good round. Again, congrats, Kyle. Here is the final for the back nine. So we have Kyle finishing off the round at 6 down, Diego at 5 down, Gavin at 5 down, Steve Key at 1 down, and Cam Rico at 5 down to close this off. Really, really fun tournament to play out here, you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching the coverage and everything. Again, want to give a shout out to everyone that helped out. Wing Co over at Headwind Disc Golf, Doug Kim. Those two guys came out to get the slow-mos that you see and catch cam. Shout out to West Coast Disc Golf and the staff at Huntington Beach. Shout out to Idio Shoes for showing me some support and always hooking me up with stuff and making sure that I have the time to get this edit as well. So thanks, you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the coverage. If you did, like and subscribe. Drop a comment on what you guys thought, your favorite shots and everything. Hopefully we get some more coverage on the channel. And yeah, you guys, get out there, play some disc golf. Surf City Open champion. Congrats, Kyle Eckmann. All right, y'all, take it easy.